So we were already. We'll start talking about the movies before Marshall, because he doesn't watch many movies. So we will talk about those. And so first of all, we were talking about Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, man.
And we're getting into Namor. Namor, I guess, is how it's pronounced in the movie. So are you familiar with the character enough to remember what it was even before the 90s?
Somewhat, because he was one like Captain America that predated Marvel from like the Timely days even. Good old Bill Everett before Stan Lee was back when he was a page.
Okay. So did they have any, I know they heavily did the Yucatan culture for this. So that wasn't any part of any of it up
that
until
just Coogler.
Okay. I was wondering about that because I even went to the Coates, his newer Black Panther versions, and I was going to read those to see if they had any resemblance to it being Yucatan at all.
Right. And this is one of those cases where it actually worked, where you take the source material and the twist is actually thematic and makes sense to the story and broadening it versus like in the 90s we took what we could get from superhero or fantasy movies, but ours were the Masters of the Universe, where it was all on Earth for no reason, or Super Mario Brothers. Like, yay, they're in New York, and the Koopa is Dennis Hopper from Easy Rider with blonde spikes.
That was a tough one to swallow. So yeah, you're right. I also like the fact that it was two oppressed cultures. It seemed like.
Which was a beautiful dichotomy, and they were going to include him back when Chadwick was still part of it. It was going to be comparing their respective struggles with opening up the country versus the isolation, how much to involve, how much to fight.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. So speaking of that, like I was under the impression, rewind 2 years ago, he's passed away 2 years, I
think so, yeah.
So rewind 2 years ago, I was under the impression that he actually shot footage for the sequel.
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
They do have him locked and loaded for another episode of What If, though.
Okay, just the voices. Okay.
Yeah.
And
they were gonna give him his own animated spin-off because they loved the T'Challa Star-Lord so much.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that was a big hit. I remember. Pretty much an instantaneous hit.
Yeah, Coogler had just finished the first draft of the script and asked if Chadwick wanted to read it, and he didn't know he was sick yet, but it was right when it was getting bad, and he's like, no, I want to wait.
Okay.
But it was because he just didn't have the energy.
Gotcha. I thought he was, I was under the impression that he knew he was sick through most of filming for even Black Panther 1.
Chadwick knew, but he didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
He didn't want to bother anybody.
So you're talking about Coogler knew?
Coogler didn't know until he was already writing the second one under the impression everything was going to be good.
Got you. Yeah. I'm following you now. So I love Ironheart. I love how they did Riri Williams, because that was an edition where I was reading. I was current at that point, looking at that Civil War run, and I was reading up, and it felt really good to have her there, new character in the Iron Man.
And I mean, she's one that worked better this phase than some others, because everyone kind of shoehorned in a young Avenger. Hey, Marshall, how you been, bud?
Sorry, man.
No, you good. That's my bad.
No,
that's my bad.
I like, as soon as I got one from Dan, I was like, oh. Because usually I don't like, I don't want to hound everybody.
I know. It was I misread the email. That's my bad. So, sorry. Continue.
Oh, good.
We started talking about movies anyway.
First. All right, talking shit about comic stuff till you get here.
Yeah.
Cool. Please cut me off. But we'll go all day.
Thank you, sir.
So I like also that she's at MIT, and you got Ned and Mary Jane going to MIT. That could not be. It could be a drop the ball thing. I don't know.
And curious to see if they play off that MIT is the school where Stark went in, was it Civil War, and did the donation, everybody's projects approved, which would tie in with her and the Stark tech that she reappropriated. which
That's-
will probably tie into that Armor Wars coming
that's-
up.
Yeah. The Armor Wars, is that going to be a animated joint, or is it?
It was supposed to be Disney Plus show, and they switched it to movie.
Good. Okay, good. Because like I saw that, like there's certain things that I would have liked the She-Hulk movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked a Miss Marvel movie. Most of the shows that they've been doing, I'd like the movie of it, but you know.
See, and I'm in the opposite boat where I'm loving the Disney Plus shows so much more, and I think that's why Phase 4 has felt off, is because we're getting to live with the characters. It's like getting a limited series of 6 issues. Because you're getting, like, She-Hulk in particular, like, how many cool B-list cameos did we get from characters? Like, we were never going to see the Wrecking Crew in a Thor movie, because it's not Hela, it's not world-ending.
Yeah.
Like, even the Avengers, like, as much as everybody hated Age of Ultron,
I liked it.
so did I, and what I liked was the beginning where it showed the little mini missions, and, like, they actually were a team, instead of, it's like the Nolan Batman movies. He shows up once every 10 years, and then he's a hermit, but people are still afraid he'll come back.
Right.
Broke his back. Oh, he's back again. Well, I had 3 adventures, and I'm going to die now. Because that's Batman. Years of training.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been like a die-hard Nolan Batman fan. I love them for what they are, but like it's just like I like Nolan's other movies far better than the Batman.
At this point, we need to give up on the debate of the definitive version of this or that, because I mean, every movie is going to be a what if at some point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. Like we were talking about the CGI, the VFX, things like that are just embarrassing when you're watching. You know, Everett Ross. He's jogging.
Yeah.
You got an aerial view of just some random guy. It's not him.
Right.
And then you get into this what's supposed to be a trail and a forest, and you can tell it's like somebody's fucking bath curtain. And they're just sitting out there. There's, and you got some audio of some birds chirping or something like that, and you can tell that these people are just in this room with nothing else. And to me, that's just shitty. To me, for the actors, and for the viewers.
Oh, agreed. And I mean, they're even trying to split the difference with the tech from The Mandalorian, where it's the green screen, but it's a full wraparound, and they project it, so the actors actually see the scenes played out. But it's, at the end of the day, the modern version of like the backlit, where you'd have the car on set and then backlit on the projector of the road going, and it was always grainy and moving different.
Right.
I see the benefits, but it's that awkward, like CGI where it got really good and then it hit like PS1 graphics for a few years, and they couldn't break that uncanny valley.
Yeah.
And you get stuff like Scorpion King or whatever from back in the day with The Rock looking like a glitch screen.
To me, that's how Shuri was at the end. To me, it was just like glitchy. She would like the suit when she finally got the suit on.
Right, especially
glitchy.
Compared to like the battle with Killmonger and the tunnels in the first one, which was so just frenetic, kinetic energy.
Yeah. I'm worried about Ant-Man because that's in the quantum realm, so you already know it's going to be not a lot of real tangible items while they're filming. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to be them.
Right, and I'm hoping they moved their money to where their mouth is, since it's going to be such a pivotal thing. Kind of like Guardians had better CGI than the other Marvel movies because it introduced Thanos and did so many other worlds, and kind of they knew they had to.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing the it was the Jungle Book, and seeing how amazing it looked, and then knowing that none of that was real.
Right.
They were all inside the entire time, and knowing that was a cool idea.
I'm excited for Ant-Man. End of the day, regardless.
He's excited for Ant-Man.
Are you excited for the quantum realm or for Ant-Man?
Both.
Okay.
Hopefully Quantum Realm gets delivered on more than Multiverse of Madness, which was a 20-second clip.
Yeah.
But
I've got
both, and it's going to be weird because they're putting off dark vibes, which I think will land heavy, being such a comedic character.
Yeah.
to have that
like
dark
really
turn.
dark vibes. Yeah,
Because there's shots that felt like Tim Burton in there with the lighting on him, where it
Yeah.
just, shows Paul Rudd staring at Kang as he's like, "Haven't I killed you before?"
yeah, yeah.
Almost that German expression is just heavy shadow to the back, like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. I noticed that too. And that's a hell of an actor too that they got to play Kang.
Yeah, I loved him in Loki.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
Yeah.
neat with the variants where he'll get to reinvent from movie
Yeah.
to movie.
Yeah. So, trying to think of what else while we're talking about that. I love the Yucatan, pulling that in. I liked the way that, of course, the first time it was hard to, to grasp it and take it as it was given to you.
Right.
Then you sit down and you digest it, and I see it again, and I'm watching, and I was afraid that they were going to do an Aquaman type deal,
Mhm.
and I really loved that they had brought that culture under the ocean, and also it not being so bright. It was really like you would be in the ocean.
Yeah, it's that subdued, the light diffraction and everything. But yeah, they did so well on it, but it was also such a heavy film with the themes of grief and everything. Like, I know when I walked out, Faye and her mom turned to me like, "Did you like it?" I think so, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Like, I was still like processing.
Yeah.
Like, I was still waiting for like another end credit scene or something. I think so. Come on, give me something, lighten it up a little bit.
I was I caught the second time, like, of course he said his Imperious Rex at the end, but he does say it when he throws the bombs to the tower.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Those water bombs were slick.
Yeah, they were. The whales were pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they come out of the water in whales, like orcas and
Riding the orcas.
Yeah, and humpback whales, and
then
then
Shuri
jump
with-
off.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Shuri and Riri is like almost a flip of the Stark and Banner vibe as the Science Bros. I love
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah.
with two of the smartest of
Yeah.
the new generation teaming up and trading notes, figuring out the herb and everything.
Yeah, I'm so happy that they didn't do any kind of, like, just very little comedic value. Like, I do love it's comic books, yes. We gotta expect some comedy in it, but I think that they're really overdoing it with certain things. Like,
Yeah, because comic books is not even a genre; it's just a format. That's like saying all books have to be serious because it's a book without pictures. All hip hop has to be gangster, nothing else. No, it's a spectrum. There should be room for comedy, but there's also, The Crow started as a comic, and that's some dark, just emo dripping.
yeah. All right, so we are Asheboro Undecided. We're sitting here with Blaze.
Are you sure about that?
Belushi. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm undecided.
We are a podcast for a city that does not quite know itself yet. So I think we're sitting here with Blaze Belushi. We got Marshall over here, and you spent quite enough time in Asheboro to know kind of what Asheboro is about. But we like to focus on North Carolina artists, businessmen, businesswomen, people. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I think I checked one or two of those boxes somewhere.
Oh yeah. You're a people. You're a people. You're definitely a people.
That's the tough one. Side note, man, Ty, I love those pants, dude. Where did those come from?
Oh, nice.
Walmart.
Really?
Yeah.
Those are so nice.
Yeah, Jurassic
a lot.
Park. They had Naruto.
Yeah.
And I'm not big on those, but like
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
yeah,
That's great.
I had to. Like, I was just like,
Mm-hmm. And
Six.
we didn't plan to accidentally all be wearing orange either. So.
No.
How we did.
Black and orange. The Halloween edition.
Yeah,
Very late.
exactly.
well, hey man, like Ruger told me yesterday, just take the H off. It's all year long, man. Because like we messed up and so with Tioga, we took all these pictures. Like every week, we took pictures of him and take pictures of these pivotal moments in his life, and for the first 2 years at least. And we're sitting here, and we're not doing that with Mylan at all. And there was this one that we really loved that we took Tioga and put him in a pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were in the cabin up in West Jefferson, and we wanted to do that with Mylan, we fucked around and didn't do it.
Mm.
And I was rebounding. I came up here and I drove by this little stand and it had big pumpkins. I was like, all right, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
That was yesterday I got them, and so we celebrated Halloween yesterday.
That's good.
Nice.
Finally.
Yeah.
And like, we got sick right around Thanksgiving, so like we had like probably 5 slices of the fucking turkey we had eaten. The rest of it's fucking gone. Like just it's been too long.
Yeah.
So I mean we didn't really get Thanksgiving either. So we're gonna have Thanksgiving about Christmas time, and Christmas about
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Mark me down in 2025 for a St. Patrick's Day catch up.
Oh man, like okay, so St. Patrick's Day. I've known you for a long time, and I remember there was at least 3 years in a row we went up to Roanoke for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh God.
And then honestly, the past 2 or 3 years I've been up there around the same time. Like I don't know why they reach out to me and be like, "Hey, come in March." Come in March. So like the last 2 times I've been solo, but like I just remember going to. We'll go to McAdoo's, and I remember going to Awful Arthur's.
Yeah.
You remember that place? And just different places. And
There was like a coffee pot or something.
The coffee pot, yeah. There was, there was something else. There was like, hole-in-the-wall places. But I remember the one time we went to a Metaphor, and we stayed at fucking Roach Motel, man.
Oh God, was that the one where there was like 9 of us in one room, and then we woke up and there was just more people somehow? Nobody remembered.
Yeah. That was the same.
Everybody
time.
passes out. There's 9 people, 15 when we wake up.
We get up there and like we think that like somebody has taken all the comforters and thrown them under the sink, but it was it you or Mackie J under the sink?
Probably Mackie.
Like this, it was a person under the sink, and I just stepped on him, and like I mean, it was those nights in Roanoke, man. I swear were great. I remember JD. He had got his tax return back. It was like $2,500, and he spent it all. I don't know if you were there that time or not, but that was a little small. It was an Irish bar that we played at that time. But yeah,
And blew his whole tax return.
it's like $2,000 some on this, pretty much on a girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're all guilty of that at a time or two.
Oh yeah, he was. He would buy a drink. He bought us all drinks, and then he would give her $20 tip.
Mm-hmm.
Then he would give her $40 tip. Then he'd give her $100 tip.
I thought you meant like a patron, not a employee.
No, yeah, an employee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did
She
you get
kept-
her number?
No,
I'll do it.
she got out of there quick,
Yeah.
man. And he was mad. Like he didn't realize he kept on going to the ATM. Like man, that was the first time that I noticed that we didn't need to take his ass out nowhere.
Yeah.
Like
For his own good.
Yeah. Oh man.
Fun times, man. It was neat when you did that one song you released, some fun shit from like 12 years ago. I think we recorded up there, but
Yeah,
I
one of those
don't remember the recording. Like I know, I remembered a few of those lines, but I thought they were from just random freestyle.
Yeah, we had. There's several in there in that same file that have that we recorded around that same time. There was one. Remember, Shanna?
Yeah.
She was recording like her album under Pomax record label. So we had put some stuff together for her.
Yeah.
There's just a random verse that you have that was on one of those beats that I
have
was
to hear some of
listening.
this
Yeah,
sometime,
man, I got the Bone Water Studio folder, man.
Oh God, that's
like
like survived.
I deleted a bunch of it, man. I was like, man, I don't delete shit very
Yeah.
often. I was like, oh my God, Pale, I don't want. Pale was dropping
You could
dropping
have
words.
buried it or something. You didn't have to delete it.
Oh,
Go
man.
put it in your backyard or something.
No, some of this was.
Good man, yeah. We don't need to. It wasn't from me, but what we were influenced by in our bodies.
Gotcha.
That was something.
Yeah.
That was
Gotcha.
something.
Okay.
I mean, you remember like what he would just like say, "Oh, I've got this tonight," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay." It was not, Never crack rock. Let's
No,
never crack rock.
There would be stuff.
I don't want nobody's imagination.
There would be just random like liquid whatever versions of this or that that's like medical grade shit, but it's not like it's a fucking charcuterie board. Like, hey, take a shot. Hey, what was that? Liquid morphine? No.
Jack. Right.
Do I go home and hope my legs don't fall asleep before I do?
Best you can do.
Oh man, yeah, that was. So you can just imagine the songs that were. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of them, the one that I did keep was like, I don't know who did the beat, but it was like a Sesame Street flip, right. Yeah. And I was like, who did somebody make that beat? Do you know? Or
I'd have to hear it.
Oh man,
because I know he was producing for a bit, like he was learning it, but he would like fuck up and delete the files because he'd get fucked up. Yeah. Like there was times I recorded like an EP's worth of shit and then come back the next day and he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to turn the computer off and it crashed. Fuck. Dude, the worst was that podcast we went to do with dude.
That dude can eat a dick.
Like, we recorded like 3 hours and like the shit kept crashing and it was like a bitch to get there in the first place.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, because we got lost, went through like the airport and didn't realize we were there because it was so foggy. So we were flooring it like 60, thinking we're still on the freeway. All of a sudden there's speed bump and we're airborne in the fog. Like, I hope that was a speed bump, not a person.
Yeah.
We're just,
it was a speed bump.
That was a terrible night.
Statute of limitations, friends.
And that dude can still eat a dick every day of the week. Like I don't want to see him ever again. Ever, man. Like,
right? God, threw us under the bus like we were the unprofessional ones when he posted about it later. Like, these fucking guys.
Yeah, he like we had.
They not appreciate all I do. We hit record and lost it. What'd you do?
We had texted him, and we're like, I don't even know where we're really at.
Yeah.
This is like a GPS. It's not like it's several years back, so we don't have the Google Maps and all that. It's some random GPS that doesn't update.
Yeah.
And he didn't give us like really good directions, and we're sitting there and we text him. We weren't even really that fucking late. We were like 10 minutes late, and we text him like we're running behind. So he gets on the internet in that 10-minute time and says, "Oh, I wish these motherfuckers would hurry the fuck up" or some shit like that.
What, like on his Facebook?
Yeah. So I didn't see that until like 2 days later.
Yeah.
I was fucking furious by that point. And then doesn't he upload something? Like
then he uploaded like some old episode instead after like saying, "Hey, I got BLAZE BELUSHI." Yeah. Never mind, I deleted the files and here's something from 3 years ago that isn't even mixed.
Yeah. He lives in the basement of his parents' house, which is a really fucking nice house.
Sign.
So yeah, that was all I needed to know. I was like, "There's no way this dude like this is his shit. There's no way."
And super nice neighborhood, and then all of a sudden you get to the basement and it's like the metalheads recording jam space.
Yeah. But anyway, man, that dude can still eat a dick.
We got a few people. On this list,
I'm still like mad about him, and I like still mad about.
You know, it's good when you come back and you're like, damn, I'm still mad about that.
Yeah, like
years later.
Like, cause
sometimes you soften with age, like, I could have been a little more mature. No, fuck.
Because at first,
dick.
Like at the first, it was like this dude and another person he was with at the time, like they were paying people to, certain people. So they asked me, what would it take for y'all to come? I said, nah, nothing. Just give me a beer or something, So like that was on the table anyway. And I was like, we get up there and it's like it all crashes. Like, and I really want to say that the cord was at least 40 feet long. Like the cord from whatever microphone was way on the other end of the house or the basement. Yeah. Going up above a hot tub and around the shit. Like it's just
through the servant quarters, up the dumbwaiter.
I just remember that being a bad night, and then we just like. We could have done so much more that night.
Yeah, and the worst part was as it crashed, he kept wanting to like restart, and it was like he wanted to have the exact same talk every time though, and it's like
it
wasn't
can't do
scripted,
that,
and
you can't do that.
Everybody is drinking, and you don't even remember what you asked.
Yeah,
right.
Like, hold your thought. Can you remember everything we just said? That doesn't work. look,
Well, hopefully this doesn't all crash. All these cameras.
Yeah,
and shit.
really.
We just,
one of them will, you know.
well, yeah, there's
One of them. It might like be looking at the wall, but you know. Dude, one thing from us doing these podcasts is like we'll before the camera's rolling, get in on a conversation, and then we're all like, "All right, stop. Let's get this on camera. This is good."
Yeah.
And then sit down and never revisit it.
Yeah.
Like we've already done that like multiple times.
Right. Or you'll tell
I'm like, no. I don't want to explain that yet because it was the one I can remember was the third generation samples.
Yes, yeah.
With Shad, he was like, "Can you explain what you mean by that?" And I was like, "Let's get rolling first."
Yeah.
And then we never talked about it.
Talked about it.
So I can't imagine like revisiting the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was not really the same, but it was similar. So it was like, so I was already, you know, answering a question that was a little bit different than what he asked the first time. I'm like, well, this kind of doesn't even fucking make sense now if you asked it that way.
Right.
No, we're not going to sit here and
Well, then you
bash.
just start
through the
feeling
whole
away
night.
because it's like, so you do music, by the third retake. So you still do music?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I quit between recordings. This did it.
You make me want to quit, you motherfucker. You motherfucker. You are really pushing me. Oh, man. So while we're talking about everything, like, we're going to switch gears to Eat a Dick Man and go to a different subject. So, all right, so I'm thinking we had to have met each other in 06, maybe. Is that sound right to
A
you?
little earlier.
05, 06?
405, I think, for
Okay.
the first run.
Okay.
Because I was up and running with you while I was still in college.
Right, okay, so you were in college. 04, I was in college still, and I think that's when that's when you were
we
in a
met
battle.
through Coleman, but we were still just in passing, and it was that thing of, like, him hyping up, like...
Okay.
And
So
the first introduction felt like, hey, he's white.
Yeah,
Don't talk to him.
Yeah. But that's exactly what it felt like, because Jay was setting this up.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Jay Coleman, man. I wish me and him could do a little bit more than we do now.
Yeah.
But he was like the first manager after I moved back. I wasn't with him until 06, like with him, because I had moved to China in 05 and then came back in 06. So we've known each other for about as long as Ruger, like 20 years, close to 20 years. So we gotta give the viewers as much as we can a visual of the bucket shop.
Oh,
just
God.
the visual of it, like just what I don't know, how could we describe it to these people? So
I mean, does the name give you the idea of what kind of club?
Jeff's Bucket Shop.
It sounds like the Ritzy nightclub,
saw,
right? That's where you take your girl for date night.
Was that down some steps or something?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw.
Yes.
Man, I went there for something. I don't remember what it was, but I've been there one time. Yeah, Jeff's
Man,
Bucket Shop.
Yeah, it's
I've
like
been there.
you really like every time that I would go down through there, like you would go down those steps. Every time you're like, damn, or you think that like there's been some motherfuckers murdered down these steps, kicked down the steps, pushed down the steps, fell up and down the steps.
There's been some lives lost.
And you get in there and like the feeling of just like almost euphoria as soon as you get there of like this is as underground as it gets.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the
Quite
classic
literally.
sweat box.
Yeah.
It's the
I like the shit. That's something I have to admit.
Those were my favorite clubs. Were the small, the cramped, where the walls are sweating, the music reverberates in weird ways.
Yeah. So this type of club, that's where I met Shadow at.
Okay.
Oh, Shadow.
And remember the Shadow that remember the quotes that he would say. But so I don't remember the bouncer's name, but he was the bouncer every time. And I remember wasn't Jeff like the bartender near the end of the night every time?
I think so, yeah.
And there was another bartender there, and I swear she would hook me up with the LIT to go every single time.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, like I remember that,
Shout
and I
out to
don't
her.
remember how I got home half the time. I don't do that anymore. But like it just, like every single time, it was just like a incredible time every time, almost every time.
Yeah, that was Sonny at the tavern for me.
Yeah,
As the one that would always look out,
yeah.
including when I drop paraphernalia on stage.
Jump
Jump a little too much. That's not greenery.
So then we're gonna fast forward, like we probably did shows there 2-3 years straight.
Yeah.
Talking about like once a month, twice a month sometimes. There would be battles there.
So it might have been 03 then when we met, because
Okay.
part of the story is I wasn't 21 during that stretch.
Okay. All right, yeah. And then there was me and you finally started working on tracks together, because I wasn't with Iconoclast yet. I was still recording out of my father's shop in the corner, and we did some tracks. I guess sent them to Pete Worthy, and then we're supposed to do this song together at a J. Cole show and J. Coleman show,
Yeah.
and I get there and they said that motherfucker can't come in. So
Which motherfucker can't come?
he got kicked out somehow. I don't know. And so then the next song I got to say.
You didn't warn him?
The next song I got to say the bucket shot kicked the motherfucker out. You know.
That was a fun story. So
Because you were of age at that point, or no?
no,
Because that was 06.
no, I wasn't 21 yet. The band I brought very much wasn't 21 yet, because they were still in high school. Sweatbox Hip Hop Club.
Mhm.
I'm the first one that had ever even asked, like, hey, what if I brought a band with me? So I scooped up a punk band who I'd only jammed with once before.
Yeah.
Brought them. They're 15, 16. You know, their parents had to drive them
Mhm.
down. We also brought like 5 carloads of people,
Yeah.
all not 21 as well. I had gotten in, the band had gotten in, because I would always show up early and help the DJ carry shit
Right,
in,
yeah.
whatever. Or I was on the bill, so I would just get up there early enough they weren't checking, like, oh yeah, you're
Yeah.
performing, whatever. They didn't notice I had a bottle of Jack with me. It was those days, and with the name Belushi, it fit.
It does.
So the
I don't know,
bartender
it's tea.
saw me
There's tea
turning
in
it
there.
up, the entire bottle, because
Yeah.
not subtle.
Yeah.
And they informed me, you know,
This was 2000 what now?
6.
Yeah, subtlety didn't exist.
yeah.
in
So they come up
2006.
and they're like, "Hey, we don't serve Jack." You know, trying to be subtle, like, "Hey, put that away."
Uh-huh.
I had already had a bit too much and was like, "It's okay. I know I brought my own." I got you.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I got my own.
Continue walking around. They're like, "Hey, we need to see your ID." No, you don't.
That's what.
Whatever. And then they start asking about the band, and it really kicked off. They were still going to let me perform, but I got a little belligerent when they wouldn't let in carloads and carloads of people that had driven down to see me.
Right.
Blur of a night, somehow I'm on the bouncer's back, rag monkey, getting thrown around.
All right. So I get sorry. Okay. Hold on.
Before my set, and then Jay Coleman had to come out and get me back in because everybody was getting riled up like there's a band, nobody knows what to do because they plugged all that shit up. The DJ doesn't have time to plug their shit back up. Everybody's rowdy as shit.
That's pretty good. So hold on.
So they let me back in to perform
Yeah.
and then dragged me right back out. That
you
night.
can go back in, but only for 15 minutes exactly.
Right, like
Get the hell out of here.
calm the mess you made, essentially.
So you two were supposed to do a song
The
together.
song later that
All
night,
right.
like.
So what was in your head about this? Were you just like going to wing it? Like, yeah, maybe they'll let me in, or
I was trying, you know. Let me do the fake mustache, the nose with the glasses. Maybe if I part my hair different.
yeah, I like it.
Like,
I like
you know, because I used to bring like a different outfit. Because my first few shows, I would do dumb shit just to stand out. Like,
Yeah.
I would wear the sweater vest, preppy,
Yeah.
comb the hair.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm a rapper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then
I use
beat
that
drops
shtick
and
a
I'd,
couple
like
times.
headbang, rip it off,
You're
throw
right,
it,
yeah.
or just for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I use that.
it worked. It worked.
It was fun. And it did what it needed to at the time, because I got a few shows in Charlotte, met you, Worthy, and everybody else. Nellis and, what was it, Mr. Beatsmith?
Oh, yeah.
That was where, my first show in Charlotte was, they were doing a thing at UNCC, and I was just messaging rappers on MySpace, seeing, like, hey, where do you do shit?
Yeah.
And saw they did a show, and I was like, hey, I've got friends that go there, and I'm going to be in town that weekend anyway, like, meet up, I'll help you pass out flyers, blanket the canvas. They're like, shit, if you're driving out of town to do that, jump on and do a song.
That's what you do it.
And they were produced, they're like, we got something, and it was their idea, we want to act like you're a just drunk idiot in the crowd. And you're stumbling, and you get up to the stage and like fall into me. When you do, you grab the mic like you're snatching it and just start rapping.
That's pretty cool.
And they even timed it with like a beat drop and shit.
That's pretty cool.
So I'm doing this stumble step, and then go into. I was still doing like the double time flows back then. Everybody's just like, "What the fuck is this drunk guy doing?" Because they're still watching to see if I'm going to fall over. Because I've been.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen that live. That would have been.
He was an entertainer.
Yeah.
And then somehow we just got old. And we don't have any much energy, you know what I'm saying? Now I can barely keep the mic.
And then somehow
we got old, man. You know? It's good to talk about it because I remember that these times did exist. You know what I'm saying?
Like I almost wish we had a little more social media, just for the way video and everything is shared now. But at the same time, there's a lot I'm glad didn't make the cut.
There's it's equal for me too. Like I was thinking about it. One of the first talks we had here, warming up, was just like, you know, I wish my whole Europe thing was filmed, but anything else, like. Not really. Like my college days, there's the little film that I see, like I'm like, oh shit, there might be a lot more that I don't even remember at all. And I'm like, I don't need to see, like, there was some really cringy Ty Brew freestyles, you know? There's some really cringy,
we've all had them, man.
You know, styles. And
how many people had, back when it was still video cameras in the parking lot for the ciphers, when everybody was smoking, and it's like, I've never seen half that footage. I know Charles the Poet was like, man, me and AP still got some of that. Yeah,
that was one thing I was really upset that we never really did as a label, you know, really ever. It was until we started working with Medley that he started, you know, we started noticing he would have, you know, cameras out every time his artists were out. I'm like, shit. Well, then I started getting those little cameras and stuff like that, and then we started. By that point we'd already dropped way too much. You know, like not too little, too late. You know what I'm saying?
With the old cameras being the disposables or whatever people had, or the God help you, the flip phones where it's 3 pixel by 3 pixel. And, I mean, you were like me. You covered every inch of the stage. Jumped in place. So even the photos we have are, hey, that green blur, I think is me.
Those. That's the times that we were living in, and I mean now it's good, and now we're sitting here trying to encapsulate everything that we possibly can. So telling the stories kind of help, but if we have a visual of those drunk nights, I remember chugging a whole beer and keeping it for the Sick Hop song I did with Will Zane Ruger, keeping it right there. And then puking it back in a brown bag and throwing it in the crowd.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it was one part of the. It was called Sick Hop, and it's.
Those were fun.
Yeah, those were fun. Like it was. That was several times that I would do that. I had it like I'd sit it right there in the middle of a bar, like just omit one bar and then just puke it and throw it out. You know, it wasn't like real puke. It was just like. What the fuck am I doing that for? You know? Then I would take.
I don't believe I want to be a part of that.
You used to be the king of just opening a water bottle, just fuck everybody. So even if anybody did try to film this back in the day, sorry for your cameras and shit.
Yeah, that shit wasn't waterproof back then.
I remember.
It was worse than the Gallagher show.
Yeah, it was. It was bad, dude. I'm talking about bad. It was 12-pack of water.
Yeah.
In a 15-minute segment, you know what I'm saying? Spray everybody.
And I mean, you needed that water because you were drunk as shit. Like that might have sobered you up a little bit.
Right. And It was fun, but it got old to people quick. They're like, fuck, I don't want to go there.
Yeah,
and then, like, when people didn't go there, my dumb ass would, I had some part about, it was the joke that we were having. Like, it was Lil Wayne and Fat Joe had the song Make It Rain. Was it Make It Rain? Yeah. And then I said something and talk about making it sleet instead. And I would have like a roll of pennies in my hand, and I break, or in my pocket, I break the like 50 pennies out and just throw it out of the crowd. You can hear it go like fucking,
what the fuck is happening here?
Bullets, and like
you got some arms on you too,
oh,
man.
yeah,
I can imagine.
Like if it was a bigger place like Arizona Pete's, man, Arizona Pete's
God.
was the funnest, and Green Street was the funnest ones to do that to. Just throw it, and you could just see people like, and then like one of my homeboys, he would always like stay till the very end and look for the pennies. He would try to find. Josh,
I'm about to make me.
Oh,
I'm gonna be $5 tonight.
He was trying to find all 50 pennies, like, and one time I think he found like 49, but like. I was like, man, these times that we had, dude, like, So yeah, going back to the name. Where did you get the name? How did that start? Stuff like that.
Blaze was shortened from Trailblazer, and then Blazer, and I did a B-Blaze for a while, and the B stood for something different every time. I joked it was like the G in Fred G. Sanford, and that just gave me a lot of mileage for freestyles. Any B word I could rattle off. And B-Blaze rhymes with damn anything. Easy. The Belushi came from a freestyle. I made a line, and it was at a show. Jay Coleman heard it and was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're the funny guy. You're in college. You just left the frat party to come to the show. Like, Blaze Belushi is what I'm putting on the flyer, whether you fucking take it or not.
I didn't know that he coined you that. So
yeah, I had said it in a freestyle, and we had always bonded over SNL and our love of old sketch comedy and shit. So he was like, that's fucking spot on. Do it.
Nice.
And it's even the superhero alliteration. Like, you're stupid if you don't.
Nice. Never knew that. Big ups again to Jay Coleman.
Yeah.
Need to get his ass down here.
Random. How did you guys, like, or better yet, everybody goes through cringe names when they first start.
Oh,
even if you're like 7 and you have like a little joke nickname. Like, I know there for a while, everybody did their initials was the thing.
Yeah.
And it was always like TDE or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what was some of your earliest ones or the cringe ones that from before really?
T Cutlass.
T Cutlass.
T Cutlass was like the
That's
first
pretty clean
one.
though.
That's
clean.
Tigga, Tigga. That was my first one because I could jump high in high school. It wasn't a rap nickname.
Yeah.
But I would go MC Tigga. Bruce T. Bruce T was a that's a kind of cringy.
That one's not as good.
Bruce T was
T
cringy.
Cutlass though.
T Cutlass was like my first demo was T Cutlass.
Okay.
While I was in the Scan Fam was T Cutlass or T Cuddy. There's got to be some really.
Yeah, because I know I did my first mixtape was B Blazer, and then I dropped the R because everybody was like, "Oh, you're a fan of the Blazers team," or you just hear so much stupid shit. And I'm like, Blaze sounds better, and then it worked better as Belushi. I know in elementary school I was the fat kid, but PH to make it okay. Chunky kid.
Fat kid.
But it was when me and my buddies would do our little Run DMC freestyle routines back and forth. My buddy Josh lived down the road, and he just had that natural charisma, that Will Smith type.
Yeah.
He just had it. Could do anything, you know. And I still remember it to this day. My name is Josh, and I've been fresh since Oshkosh Bagosh, with like that DMC flow, that old school, in the days of old.
Nice. What about you?
I only had 2. I mean, the first rap group I was a part of, I was Marshall Williams. Easy, right? But the 2 before when I was really close, it was going to be Young Mellow, because Marshmallow, Young Mellow.
Yep. Nice.
Or Blindside. That was going to be like my superhero rap name there. Blindside. Yeah.
Not so cringy.
Not
even the Blazer was not that cringy.
Yeah, Blazer's not that bad. The fat kid's a little.
Yeah. I was like 7. I stand by it.
I was like Blindside because you never see me coming.
Yeah.
I won't expect this.
Yeah.
Blindside with a Y.
Oh, nice.
The why did you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
I always, super glad I didn't go with the young mellow because like a lot of people were doing young.
Yeah.
Right.
I started doing rap in like 05, 06. That's when I was 04, 05, 06. That's when I really started. So back then it was Young Jock, Young Jeezy, Young Dro, and so I was gonna be Young Mellow. But like, they still going. This is like 20 years later. They're still using the Young name. Like,
right, like Young MCs.
But
You
Young
can't
MCs,
drop it because it's just MC.
He's so timeless though. It's,
it works.
It works.
They're doing the NBA now. Never broke again. Like the name NBA.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, but they're gonna be broke. They're gonna be broke. They will. The way that the system's going.
Yep.
The way that they got it set up and.
Yeah, it's like the old Chris Rock routine. It's here today, gone today.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that 15 minutes of fame was like a good prediction, but you get 15 seconds now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's because of some shit you didn't even care to pop off for.
Right.
Yeah. So, not any relation to 15 minutes of fame or anything by that, but I did want to talk about Kevin Smith. You were able to talk to him a little bit. You were able to, I guess, have a Q&A session with Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I went to the Clerks 3 road show, and he does this neat thing where it's like old Hollywood. He travels with the film city to city. He'll do a little intro, play the movie, and then engages the audience for about an hour or two with a Q&A after. I'd gone a couple years ago for Yoga Hosers with Vocal, actually.
Okay.
And this time went, and I got lucky, jumped from the balcony thing down, and got like third in line.
Wow.
It was interesting. He is known for being very long-winded, so there's times he gets to like two of the people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got really lucky. Handed him sticker and business card, and just joked like, "Hey, you taught me shameless self-promotion, so here, fired it right back at you."
Right.
What was the question you asked him?
I asked him about some of the characters and stuff. I'd have to go back to the video because I kind of blanked because I remember more of the talk about comic covers and stuff like that. But it was something about continuing the story in the comics because I knew he had a line coming and wanted to give him his little angle because I knew he'd have that ready in the pocket to pitch and push.
Smart.
So it went from Husk to Yoga Hosers. What's the third one going to be?
Moose Jaws, I think.
Okay. I'm going to have to go. I like Yoga Hosers a lot.
It was fun for what it was.
Yeah. I liked Husk from what I remember. What is it, Holidays he did?
I haven't watched that one yet. Was that the one where it was
like an anthology type deal? Yeah.
Thank you. I was thinking compilation.
Yeah. I remember like enjoying that too. But like I said, like I really wasn't into Clerks. I wasn't into Clerks 2 that much. I like the story, but like 3 was like I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It was well done. And I didn't know the backstory on a lot of that until afterwards. Like, I guess he had fallen out with some of the characters, especially the main characters. And then, like, that last part was, like, emotional as hell.
Yeah, he delivered the gut punch. Yeah. I mean, he knows how to do that. And I think that gets written off almost the same as, like, Apatow. Like, everybody writes it off as, oh, it's comedy, it's so easy. And you hear Apatow, Rogan, Smith. It's always got to be the heart to it or you don't care about the characters.
Yeah.
But when you get the, copycats, they miss that part and it's like just repeating the jokes. Like, everybody says Pryor was the best. Murphy's the only one that really learned from him. Because everybody else is like, hey, motherfucker. The cursing's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did the same for Murphy. Like, I'm going to curse a lot.
Yeah.
And do a funny voice. And they missed, like, the pathos and the setups and pulling from real life and real people you encounter for those characters.
Yeah.
So it just kind of gets washed down after.
Right, because I mean it's just like the telephone game. I whisper something, and by the time it gets back around, you're going to lose the nuance and this and that.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So do you go by Blaze Belushi with your artwork, your drawing artwork?
Yeah, I was going to do a separation at first, and I played with different names, and none of them really felt right. It just felt like I was muddying the waters and confusing, and, you know, as a Brian, not exactly a name that stands out that much. There's usually 3 or 4 at every show. I mean, it even turned to a joke. There's a few that I'm friends with named Brian, like Brian Wingrove, and we would do like the thing 1, thing 2, Brian 1, Brian 2.
Right.
But Blaze Belushi stands out, and again, it's got that superhero alliteration. It sounds different, and a lot of people come up and are like, "Oh, so that's so cool! You got the family name, and you're representing." Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool.
So much easier to explain than like, no, I was a rapper, now I'm doing this. Well, what the fuck are you doing cartoons?
Yeah.
It's real hard to like stand out, you know, with names and such. But I remember early in the scene, I mean, I didn't even know you, but I remember seeing a flyer with Blaze Belushi on. I was like, who the hell is that?
Right.
But that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you know, something that draws the eye. It's tough to do. Very
Very
tough to do.
Yeah.
My name sounds like a lawyer or something. The law offices of Marshall and Alexander.
I get it. And yeah, the name standing out did me a lot of wonders, and I like to think that putting the comedic name in it let people kind of gave them the edge, like, hey, don't expect me to come in and be the tough guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I've still got that hip hop energy, but you're gonna get a little more jokes from me.
Yeah. He asked me what kind of Thai brew is the Thai brew that's in the podcast. I said it's me, you know.
That's Tyler BRUEILLY.
Right.
In the
it's
podcast.
Me. It's not it's every part of me. It's not like just I'm putting on, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, not that like you're faking in one or the other,
Right.
but as we, you know, we're all kind of multi-hyphenates. We move in different
Very
worlds,
true.
and you carry yourself the same, but you adapt to where you are.
We speak the different languages almost to different people.
Right.
I get that. Some
Like at
people
Comic
don't.
Cons, I've got a little more Mr. Rogers when the kids are around.
Yeah.
I watch my mouth a little bit more when I roast with everybody.
Yeah. That's kind of the reason I wanted you to come down to that camp, and you did that camp with me, because I knew you could adapt and be with these kids.
Dude, that was so fun.
It was a lot of fun. I still wish that we had like a couple extra days.
Yeah.
Because that 5 days just wasn't enough.
It went so quick, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, you did a hell of a job pivoting, because like I know we'd have activities planned, and then all of a sudden they'd approve it and be like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Wait, you're going to pop balloons with paint?
Yeah.
Yeah, we told you a few weeks ago.
That-
Yeah, but the thing is...
That place can also eat a dick.
Yeah.
Just like that. That's why I want to hear it. But we did have a good time with that. So, give us a rundown. You've been doing lots of shows. Let me rephrase that. Lots of conventions, Comic Cons. You said toy swaps.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, that I'll do the little craft shows and stuff, because I mean, same as like just doing Comic-Cons over and over. It's the same idea of like, all right, people have seen this, and what's going to stand out? But all of a sudden, you go to like the toy swap, for example, is this communal thing everybody sets up. You know, same idea as a craft show, but everybody's selling off their collection, looking for the hard to find 80s toy that would have made their childhood. And it's a lot of fun, a great way to unload some of the collectibles I've amassed.
Toy swap. I gotta write that down.
But at the
one
same time, it's like, hey, these people are spending $300 on a He-Man figure. Instead of going to Comic-Con and being one of 80 guys with a sketch of Batman, let me go here and be like, hey, you know, for $50, I'll draw you as He-Man, or, you know, with Tigra or whoever.
Yeah.
Boom, that's a one of one.
Yeah.
I remember that toy swap.
They have one down at on Zoo Parkway, that little toy spot.
Okay.
They have some like quarterly.
Oh, down in the
Yeah, no.
somewhere else or something
Yeah.
else, whatever it is.
Yeah,
It's
they'll
Toy
rotate them
Busters or
around
something.
all
Yeah,
over the
Toy
place.
Busters.
I'll let you know when some
Yeah,
of the cool
please
ones
do.
come up.
Please do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do that. The conventions are a lot of fun. And it's neat, especially bouncing between the bigger and smaller ones, where the bigger ones have become more about the movies and TV shows and this and that. And so it's funny because con started as the chance to go meet whoever you knew from the books, you know, the
Right.
writers and artists. All of a sudden it's a line for, you know, the dude from My Chemical Romance, Gerard Way, because he got into Umbrella Academy, and that was all anybody did at NC Comic Con that year.
Right.
I'm walking the floor, and I'm literally bumping into Orlando Jones because nobody's going to his table either, so he's just walking the floor and hanging out.
Yeah, I've seen it's, I don't know, it's an unfortunate evolution of that to me. You know, it is,
Yeah.
because I remember in the 90s going, and you didn't have to pay any extra.
Right.
But there was not people that were really taking advantage of the situation. Like,
Exactly.
hey, I don't want to meet you. I just want to get your autograph so I can charge. You get on
Yeah.
eBay. So I understand that. But, like, you know, you would meet the people that would sign your books. You talk to them for a second. There would be a line maybe, you know, not out the door. But now, like, just for instance, I wanted to go see E.T. The cast of E.T. was at Concord.
Okay, yeah.
It was several months back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, well, let me see. You know, I'd like to meet him. Maybe you can get something signed that I have. So I was just pricing it out. I mean, it was going to be $300
Yeah.
to get it. Get the ticket, more with gas, you know, get the ticket, parking, and then pay for each individual person to get an autograph or a picture. And I'm like,
And it adds up, and they sadly overbook them every time,
I
so
bet
you
so.
literally get rushed through.
Mm.
Like, it's almost as bad as the DMV. They'll snap your pic, and you're blinking, and they're like, tough shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Santa Claus.
Yeah, like, what's his name? Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things that played Eddie on that last season.
Mhm.
Okay. But was he in the Power Rangers too?
I don't think so.
The newer Power Rangers? The dude with the mullet?
No, it's the metalhead dude that
Okay, all right.
was like the breakout of last season or
Okay.
whatever. But so that was his breakout role. He goes and does cons for the first time, and you know, doing the autograph packages and stuff, and literally saying, "Oh, hey, you know, it's great to meet you," and somebody's telling him what it means to him, and the security is literally like rushing him and screaming at him for taking too long because they sold 200 more of the passes than they were supposed to.
Yeah, that's
This
what I
kid
heard.
is traumatized by it, where he's
Yeah.
breaking down crying
Yeah.
because all his fans are upset, and he's like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that happened to, I think the dude that was in Prey, the Predator
Yeah.
spinoff. Like, I don't know if he was actually the dude that played the Predator, or it was like one of the tribe.
Yeah.
But it was like his first, I mean, he was just starting to get known.
Yeah.
It just dropped, and then here's the comic. I think he bounced, had a panic attack, fucking left.
wow.
Don't blame them, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're terribly run. Like, I used to be friends with some of the volunteers at some of the bigger shows.
Right,
and
Jeff.
Because of
Jeff
that,
Kraft. Did you meet him?
yeah,
Yeah, he
him
works
and
up here.
Kibby.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
works at the
Kibby
theater.
hooked me up. I was with Matari Bain at one of the shows. He had a table, and I was just hanging out, but he let me post up at the table and do some sketches or whatever. And Kevin Eastman was there. And we had tried and tried to get in the line, but it was so long, we couldn't justify leaving the table that long. Kibby taps him on the shoulder and tells him to wait an extra 10 minutes. Pulls us behind all the ropes and stuff. We got to talk to him for like 20 minutes.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, stuff like
Kibby
that
was a great
brilliant.
guy.
Yeah.
I know Jeff works here at the theater, and I get to talk to him a lot because he goes still to as many as he can, still volunteers or works. And he was telling me, I guess he met Yandu the last time.
Oh, nice.
Which was nice. And I think, you know, at that point you can kind of wait a little bit till
Yeah.
everybody bounces out and
right.
talk to them. But yeah, I mean, it saddens me to see the evolution of that because it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun up until, you know, about 06 and 07. Because that's kind of when comic kind of changed again, like with more of a, I don't know. That's when they were evolving with the well-known characters.
Yeah.
They were branching out like this. They
Like
needed
trying to
new
launch the
identity.
legacies and this and that, but they did it all at once to where
Yeah.
everybody did a lot of pushback.
Right.
Because they did it almost the same way they did like the Death of Superman. Like, oh, this is it. Like, your favorite character is gone forever. Fuck you.
Yeah, like that was supposed to pay for my college loans, that book. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so was all my baseball cards and all that shit. We were lied to a lot growing up.
Oh, dude, just throw it in a room with the Beanie Babies, man.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's about it. And now they're resurfacing that kind of mentality. Once one goes, the other one's bound to follow. They're resurfacing that kind of mentality, which is another unfortunate. The legends. I like the legends characters. Well, now they're overproducing them, and they're charging a little bit more.
And then they underproduce the Chase, which is the one they know you want.
Yeah. Do they underproduce the Chase though? Still.
And God help you if you get into the ones with the Build-A-Figures.
Yeah, see that's
because then you have to open it to put together the Build-A-Figure, but it's not mint anymore.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you got to buy 2 at a time.
Because I'll see people selling the Build-A-Figure put together by itself for like $50-$80.
Yeah.
And it's a loose figure.
Yeah,
but
that's
you factor they had to buy all of those to put it together.
That's what I'm going to do with the Wakanda Forever. So like see, that's what I'm saying. I got I was able to order the whole set. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Because you really, like you said, you have to wait for that, and just there's I don't even know which one of the Chase would be for that, because I can get them all.
Yeah.
So I just went in and got them all. I'm gonna unbox them and put together.
Funkos are bad on X. They'll do the Fall Con exclusive or Hot Topic or Walgreens, and it'll be the slightly different paint job.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna do exactly what you said. I'm gonna put Atsuma together, and I'm gonna sell that, because right now it's they're selling for almost $200.
Yeah.
Because you've got to spend at least $200 to get them.
Right.
Well, luckily I've got a connection that helped me out on that one.
Nice. You didn't have to do the old school open 80 boxes of cereal to find that decoder ring.
Yeah, I didn't have to do that. I didn't, and I didn't have to spend the retail value on it either, which is good. So I might flip it, but I just know that with the previous one, even Moon Knight, for example, about 6 months ago they were pre-orders were sold out. You can't get them if you don't pre-order.
Yep.
And then the release date comes, and now you can go to Walmart probably and get them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can go in both of them.
But God help you, the one time you don't pre-order, good luck finding it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's exactly. There's no telling which will be which.
Exactly. So that's
because the movies come and go so quick. The hype here today, gone today.
Yeah.
I know cons a few years ago, Civil War was coming out. You knew, hey, I'm going to go ahead and draw a bunch of Captain America, Iron Man. Oh, Spidey's in here. Hold up.
Yeah.
This year, I'm so glad I didn't do a run of Thor pieces, because nobody even liked the movie, and nobody talked about it.
I mean, yeah.
But there's also 18 movies a year, as opposed to when Spider-Man came out, it mattered, because all we had before that was Blade and X-Men, as far as what could be considered close to now.
Right.
You had Christopher Reeve Superman, you had Howard the Duck from George Lucas.
I still watch that joint.
And I loved the slapstick versions of whatever they could pull off on those old budgets, like The Shadow or The Phantom with Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Blank Man and Meteor Man do not get enough love.
Yeah, Blank Man, Meteor Man. Oh man.
Which of the more modern movies did Howard the Duck cameo in?
Guardians.
Was it Guardians?
Guardians and was it Endgame or Infinity? Yeah, Endgame. I think he just did a quick little background when there was the Marvel Encyclopedia on screen.
Yeah.
Through the portals.
It was good to see Cosmos a little bit more.
Yeah.
Than Guardians. But Howard the Duck was in. I can't remember what. It might have been the Standoff. I'm gonna have to look back at the books, but there was a variant of Howard the Duck. I think it was Howard the Human or something.
Oh man,
you remember that? Or?
Yeah, that was a fun book. Wasn't it Jim Mahfood?
I think
did a couple of them. That dude is awesome. If you ever get to meet him at a con.
Okay.
Howard the Human.
Yeah, it was 4 or 6 issues. It was kind of weird. It was good. Yeah, you're right about that, because Eternals came out, and that was supposed to be a big event.
Right.
It's supposed to be there's so many different. I mean, it was the most diverse cast
There was
to that point.
a lot I liked in that. That's one where I feel like there's a great shorter movie in it.
Yeah.
They bit off too much.
Or it was a great shorter movie or a series.
Exactly.
Just
Because
chop
then
it
they
up.
could have gone century by
Yeah.
century, had some fun, or done a whole episode per character showing them, almost like Arrested Development did
Yeah,
poorly when
yeah.
they came back that one
Yeah.
time and couldn't get the whole cast together.
Yeah. So have you seen Willow?
Not yet. I'm excited
Yeah,
for it,
we'll
though.
talk about it the next time we link up. So you saw Werewolf at Night. You've seen.
Werewolf by Night was fantastic.
So you've
and it was
caught
cool
up
to
on-
see a composer get his first directorial
Yeah.
gig on something like that.
Man Thing was perfect.
Oh, dude, so excited for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I can finally make my Man Thing jokes again.
Yeah.
Because I always loved that there was that old issue of Giant Size Man Thing #1. Like, I always wanted to make that a t-shirt.
That would
Just
be a
ask
good
me about my
t-shirt.
Giant Size Man Thing. Then just do the 2 red eyes, but make it look like balls and the green, like, nose hanging down.
I'll
So
never
much
look
fun.
at him again the same.
No, no. That death touch
Yeah.
has a whole new meaning now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I like it. I'm trying to think what else. You got any ideas? Do you want to talk about the barn night?
Well, yeah, you kind of just gave it away, but that was going to be the story I want to
Okay.
talk to you about, because I hadn't seen you it's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah.
But I just want to talk about, there was one time that you had booked us a show, and this was, I don't know, 2016, 2015, and I was at a point where I had done a little hiatus. Didn't do it on purpose, but I had done a little hiatus, and I was like, I'm not saying no to nothing. I'm going
Right.
to take every single opportunity. If somebody puts me on something, I'm doing it. I don't care if it's 3 people. One of those 3 people could be like,
This comes
my
back.
biggest fan ever. I'm not saying no to shit. Like major ego kill and everything. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is what we're doing. And so Ty and I had started working a little closer at that time too, and we were doing stuff like the stuff for Randolph. What all was that? Damn, I can't think of
Relay
it.
for Life.
Relay for
Oh,
Life.
man.
We were doing Relay for
Those were
Life.
some awesome events.
We were doing all this different stuff, but anyway, and so you were like, all right, well, I got y'all booked on a show, and it was this was the act. It wasn't like you booked 3 separate acts. It was, oh yeah, Blaze Belushi, Ty Brewer, Marshall Alexander, like that was the act.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, buddy of mine, he does this thing, and so.
Yeah, so...
So just walk us through that, please. Please walk us through that.
So I was always the wild card, and I liked mixing things up. I would turn around and do a metal show or a reggae show or whatever else. Same as like with the music or with the art. Like I like to do the things where I'd stand out a little bit
Right.
more. Buddy of mine was like, "Hey, I'm going to do a house party," and I knew he had a metal band and was heavy on that scene. He was like, "You should come out, man. It's going to be kegs, all you can eat." Because what was it? Barbecue, I think, was part of the
Barbecue.
pitch. Like instead of getting paid, we were getting like all the food,
Yes.
all the kegs. This
Yes.
and that, and it's like, okay, cool. That's like the old college day.
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, we'll throw down.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
I
let's-
enjoyed it.
yeah,
no,
it's
I had a
fun.
great time. Don't get me wrong. But
Marshall's here saying like I booked a gig, and I'm like, no, I booked a house party. House party show versus gig is very different. You're making it
That's
sound
not
like
terminology,
I
man.
Yeah,
That's
you're making it sound like
But
I
I
said
pitched it
like
as a
rapper.
show.
Yeah.
Again, the word of mouth gets passed around.
We got this show going in.
we got this show, man. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Ty told
I'm gonna do
Marshall
it.
we were hitting the steakhouse for a rack of ribs. Marshall shows up and just handed a McRib.
I talk about that show because everybody's got stories, and I've got other stories, but that's a good one, because
Right. That's
you-
the most fun you have doing music sometimes. Is the
Honestly.
completely unexpected.
Yeah.
The other bands were fun. There
Yeah.
was drinks. There was the weird shit with the neighbors being creepy and peeking over fence.
I couldn't remember that. Like,
And who all was there? I feel like there was 5 of us. Am I wrong about that?
somebody rode with me, and I don't remember who the fuck it
we
was.
brought somebody else.
There's a
and I
picture of us
don't
somewhere
know
because
who.
somebody's holding a stick, like on the back porch or something. I just remember that distinctly. I don't remember who all was there.
Oh yeah.
I remember somebody rode with me.
Mm-hmm.
somebody rode with you.
Yeah, there was somebody I had under my wing at the time.
I think you're
was another one that eat a dick in hindsight. Like, all the dicks, like
the guy riding with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
yeah.
and then he wanted to get into music, so I introduced him, and then I found out he was real creepy around all the girls when I wasn't around, and I would hear when I heard about it
his name
after.
later. Have we already mentioned him tonight?
No,
Okay.
I blackballed him from cons, everything.
Yeah.
He has not shown his face anywhere in a long time.
I remember now.
So yeah, we get there, and again, like you said, he booked it as like the show. Blaze put us on the show. I was like, hell yeah, we'll fucking do it. And we show up, and it's a house first of all, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then and then where we're performing, please walk us through this whole thing, please.
I heard house party, and I'm thinking, all right, we're living room setup or whatever, or at least the yard.
Right.
No, it's a barn. And
barn is generous, dude. Barn is generous.
It's like when you do a film and they have the facade of the building.
Yeah.
But you walk through the door and there's nothing.
Yes.
It's more like that. Like there was the front of a barn. You can step in and there's like 2 feet, and then there's a stage for some reason.
Yeah.
But
like a
everywhere you want to
area.
stand, there's like a support beam in front of you because
a necessary
it's a huge,
support beam.
very necessary in a rickety rustic farmhouse. So there's even video of the show, but half of it is of support beams and us playing peekaboo on the sides.
Yeah, well, we had
and whoever's actually on the video isn't the person actually vocalizing ever. You'll see me nodding or yelling the one hype word for Marshall of his song.
Yeah, we were segmented. It was I feel like there was 3 beams.
Yeah,
in the front of the stage. In front of the stage.
And it
so
almost,
we were
it almost
hopping
felt like one
around.
of those 70s shows where they had the pillars and everybody was lit a different color in between, like the opening of the Muppet Show, like the arches, but it wasn't on purpose.
The floor was dirt. It was a dirt floor in that bar.
That's the only thing
That's the detail I remember.
And it was rainy as shit.
Fuck
like
yeah, pouring down
so
rain.
it was
mud.
We could have been mud wrestling
and
having some fun.
Didn't somebody start mud wrestling before we left?
I think so, but I think it was just...
We were trying to get the fucking food at that point, and somebody's like, they're mud wrestling!
Yeah, I remember at one point it got so muddy, we were all had that moment of what the fuck are we doing here?
No, that moment for me was when I pulled up to the spot.
Well, we had another one.
Yeah.
I remember at one point we were just standing by the keg, and it wasn't even just because we wanted another. We would just start guarding it we're getting our payment for this.
Hell yeah.
We started dragging it with us to the.
Yep.
That was the plan. It on stage.
I do remember that. We were all around the game.
People would walk up tap, bro.
Yeah. No, definitely. I remember that because after the shit, because it was bands. Yeah. I'm not wrong about that, right?
Yeah, it was all bands. And
all bands, and then us.
And then, like he said, I did it where we were all together because they asked if I wanted to do it. I'm like, well, can I bring some friends for some energy if I'm competing with whole bands?
Right. Exactly.
You don't want one dude doing karaoke.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I also did it where we randomized the song list so it kept bouncing between, so it had that freestyle energy, including I think a few songs that were on there just for us to freestyle to, or we'd leave it the full instrumental even if it only had 2 verses. Yeah, just for the shits and giggles element.
Yeah. It was fun. But after the fact, we were just we were surrounding the keg because we were getting my money's worth, getting my time's worth here, and God, man, that was.
The food was really good, though.
Yeah. But you say barn. Look, I live on I don't currently. My family lives on family land. Yeah. It's been there in the family for over 100 years. There's buildings on that property that were built in the 1800s. That's what this spot looked like
think
to
of
me.
the old Hollywood backlots you see where it's just the flat facade.
Yeah.
You walk in and there's a
stage, like a backdrop.
Yeah.
Right. When you walk into the old houses and they have that one room just for you to take off your shoes.
Dude, it was old tobacco
5
house.
feet and then stairs.
I feel like it was old tobacco house where you drive tobacco in or something.
Where was it at? Was it Greensboro or was it further?
It was outside of Greensboro, but not far.
I feel I remember thinking Greensboro.
Yeah. I remember
because I knew the dude from Greensboro because we worked at Bonefish together or something.
And we still wanted to go to Cookout afterwards, right?
Of course.
Why?
I don't know. Drunk?
Why? It was just the thing to do, man.
And I love how Cookout is where you always we ran into the Metaphor after not seeing him in years at a random cookout when we were I don't even remember where we were.
Post-show cookout is a thing, man. It's always...
Oh, yeah. I used to love the diners after it. Just
Yeah.
sit there until I
Yeah.
sobered up enough.
Yeah.
Because I always lived like an hour or more
Right.
away from the venues.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
We
my
all lived an
hometown,
hour
like,
from this
there
one.
would be a venue, and I would try to get a show, and it's like the Blues Brothers scene. What kind of music do you guys... Oh, we do both kinds, country and western.
Yeah. Exactly. Man, but yeah, that's the one. People ask all the time, well, what's the weirdest place you've played, or what's the I drop that story all the time. I was like, well, I played in a barn, in a shack once, like in a shed from 1920, old bootleg shed.
What's
or
the
something.
weirdest one you turned down, or like you considered and then just ended up not doing, not even not turning down? Because I've been in that same boat of like, hey, I'm not saying no to shit.
I got an obvious answer, and Ty and I've never spoke about this, but we turned down a show in Greensboro. That was a good opportunity, but we did turn it down for political reasons. I regret doing that. I do regret doing that, but only because the people on that show and the people running that show, like, I really could have used that boost. I really could have. But also, Ty was booked, and then he brought me, so I wasn't like booked directly through him. And when Ty dropped, I was like, well, Ty dropped, I'm dropping. You know, like, no questions asked.
All right.
But that's the only show I look back.
You don't
and
show
like,
up as a +1 without the 1.
right? And that's the only show I can look back and say, I wish I wouldn't have dropped that show. But things were really bad.
Even the fallout of that show was bad.
I know.
But I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah,
I'm cool with it, but I hate that that somebody that might have wanted to wasn't able to do that. But
I'm with you. I always like the random ones where it's, if nothing else, it's a story later.
absolutely.
Like I always thought it was cool that NYP near UNCG did shows. Like you played at a pizza shop, and the shop has no room for people, so you're really playing for the street outside, but it's right on campus. So I always loved that. And they book like full shows though, like Pomac and
I did a Pomac show there.
Yeah, he booked it on a
Selinsky, I think, was on the same one.
Yeah.
No, some dude was on tour, and Pomac just booked the show for him.
Yeah. Another dude might get eat a dick too.
That list is growing, man.
Yeah, since eat a dick is a thing tonight.
Yeah.
You guys have any don't meet your hero moments? I know you have one that I was there for.
Yep, I got one.
All right, go ahead.
I got one. So I was this was like Comic-Con was fairly new. I can't tell you when this was. My dad is a vintage toy dealer. He's been doing it his whole life. So he would book shows everywhere. We went to one in Tennessee called AdventureCon. You ever heard of it?
I've heard the name,
but it probably died 20 years ago.
One where you hear the name after.
Yeah. So AdventureCon, and so I show up. I'm a kid, man, and I remember they had the room for celebrities was like away from everything else. It was like a toy show and toy comic show, card show, and then there was the place where the celebrities were. And I remember there were several of them.
Yeah.
And one of them, I went up and I was like, "Hey, like I'm a big fan, and you're my favorite character from this series. I'll tell you in a second. You're my favorite character from this series." He's like, "Uh-huh." And I'm like, probably, I don't know. I'm fairly young.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he said, "Yeah. Are you gonna buy anything, or are you just gonna keep wasting my time?" And I was like a kid, dude. And it was C-3PO.
Oh, man.
It was the guy.
Anthony Daniels?
And my dad loves telling that story because he's like, Marshall was this little kid, and he came back, and he was like almost crying. And I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "C-3PO's an asshole, Dad." So, C-3PO. That was my... that's the best I got.
Fair.
That comes off the top of my head.
Mine from a con would be Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, wow.
Stood in line, and it was my first time at one of the bigger cons. He probably is. It might have been a bad day. I'll chalk it up to that.
Right.
But I had stood in line forever and ever, and I didn't know at the time that he had like hearing issues and deaf, and that's why his voice sounds the way it does.
Right.
I just thought it was an accent or something.
Yeah.
Kid not thinking.
Right.
Standing in line, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get a Hulk book signed or this and that. Turns out to get a signature, you have to buy his fitness book.
Okay.
Which is like $25-$30 or whatever. No announcement of that before you get in line, though. Of course. Stood in line for an hour, and I'll finally get up there, and it's like, "Hey, man, so great to meet you. I love your shit. Can I get a signature? You're going to buy my book?"
Yeah.
If not, it's $50 for the signature.
Yeah.
But I'll give you a free signature if you buy my book. dude, I didn't come here for a fitness book. I'm at Comic-Con,
Right.
dude.
Right.
And apparently with his hearing issues, if he doesn't hear what you says, he just assumes that it's negative. Or at least he did, since I was a snotty kid saying no to his book.
Yeah.
And just very angry. I
Right.
ended up not getting in. I ended up finally getting mad and saying, Hulk can fuck off.
Eat a dick.
Yeah. Eat a dick. He won't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah.
Ha
Yeah. Yeah, so it's
But that
like
was
the
a-
same story for both
Yeah.
of us. I just didn't. I was so young. I didn't know the way those things worked. You know, and
Yeah.
also, mind you, there was no one in that room.
Right.
Like this was pre-show. There was
Yeah.
no one in there. So I was like the only kid in there. You know, and I went around talking to everybody. I remember there was a playmate, and me as a young boy, I was like, "Whoa," you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
The booth babes.
yes, exactly. And there was so many. There was no one in that room, and he was like
Yeah.
a total dick for no reason. I remember that.
Brutal,
But also,
man.
I want a similar story. A musician who, again, I won't say the person's name, but
Do it.
went and recorded with them in their
Mhm.
studio. Now, this is a person with a multi-platinum record. I'll just put it to you like that. And watching the way that this person recorded blew my mind, because I'm telling you, I write my verses, and I don't always do this, but I write my verses to where I'm going to perform them.
Mhm.
So I like to see if I can do one take all the way through. It's
Thank
just
you.
the way that I am.
Same.
And when it comes to making music, I think I'm more of a purist than the average person. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like I'll be selling my soul if I do it this way or that way.
Right.
And it's just a mental block in my
Yeah.
head. This is the way this guy recorded. All right. So let's say he was rapping "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
Mhm.
All right. So he'd be like, I'm telling you, the producer's here.
Yeah.
Mary had a little. Nah, stop. Mary had a little. Mary had a little lamb. All right, that's good. Goes to the next one. Fleece was white as. No, stop. Fleece was white as. No. Fleece was white as. No. Fleece was white as snow. No. I mean, it was like he punched every single bar, and sometimes it was like half a bar. It'd be like Mary had a. Okay. Little lamb. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? and I'm like, but that gave me a perspective, because I was like, moral victories, right?
Mhm.
You want to avoid having as many moral victories as possible,
Yeah.
because what good is it, you know? So
Right.
I'm sitting there like, I'm better than this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, I'm like, I'm better than this dude. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
But he's a millionaire, and
Right.
I'm paying money to be here. you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, who's really?
Because even in music, like, our era was very don't sell out.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, that's
Yeah,
not even a
yeah.
consideration or a
Yeah.
thing anymore.
Yeah.
Get the money as soon as you
Right.
can.
Yes.
And it's like,
As
Yeah.
long as you can.
right.
Yes.
Whereas, same as you, like, if I could not do it in one take, I wouldn't do
It
it.
felt real funny, man. I mean, and
Like,
I punched.
and I would do a punch for, like, an emphasis or whatever.
Yeah.
But I felt the same way. Like, if I have to do this
yeah.
live, I don't always know which hype man will know my shit. You were always great about it. Mackie was good when he came, but
Right.
later years he was
Yeah.
man checking out.
And I write it to, but it's just the old. I mean, that's just that. That's from my era. That's from
Right.
my time. You know,
Exactly.
That's how. Now, again, there are records out there that I have punched in here and
Sure.
there, but for the most part, that was my etiquette.
Yeah.
And you know, etiquette is something that's dead, I think, today.
Oh, yeah.
But this motherfucker popped off in the early 2000s. It's not like he's a brand new artist.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
was so hurt when I realized how many people punched in that I thought, like, you know,
Yeah.
oh, you've got to be able to, like,
Yeah.
because I learned double time flow specifically because I was like, okay,
Well,
I'm gonna.
Yep. And sometimes.
And then I realized doing it live, everybody's
Right.
like, well, I'm not catching
Dude.
your punchline. You're lyrical. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the double time thing too, that was part of what I took so much pride in. My ability to do it was I could do it,
Mhm.
you know. But some of these people don't fucking do it. They can't. And like there'll be really bad punches, and you can hear it if you know what you're listening for on the record. I'm like, you could have done better than that. You
Yeah.
know, if you're gonna try and fake it, at least fake it good.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Right.
That's how I feel. And then
I don't have a good ear for that. Like
I do. I can.
It's like
spot
when a
it
show
every
doesn't have
time.
continuity and the character's shirt is different. at the
Yes, I
same
catch that
table or
shit too. You're like,
something,
ugh!
you know?
Or like
Yeah.
he was staring here, and then when it cuts
Yeah.
to this camera, he's like staring off this way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can. But those punches, you know, it's so much easier to catch it too in like fast rap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Because
oh,
also
yeah,
you
yeah.
can tell when they're running out of breath, and then
And
all of a
then-
sudden it pops back in. They have
Right.
more energy
Yeah.
in their voice, and it just is.
Big Pun was that way.
It's not
Oh,
smooth,
yeah.
man.
You could definitely tell that. But
And then wasn't Easy E famous for doing like a line at a time?
I think so.
Well,
I
that's
think
how
so.
this dude. recorded
Yeah.
with did. I don't know if you. This is I want to say more recent, but it's still probably 6 or 7 years old. That's recent to me. Tech Nine did a song with Eminem, and it was Worldwide Choppers 3 or Worldwide Choppers 2, and like again, Tech Nine is like the king of the double time, crazy syllable, crazy wordplay, structure, verse,
just pure spaz,
and he can pop it off. I mean, any time of day, he can do that whole verse, no problem, right? And he puts Eminem on it, and Eminem is clearly, I mean, if you know what you're listening for, clearly not only punching, but I would put money that this dude sped his shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like recorded at 0.75 and then sped it up or something. If that makes sense. I mean, you could just tell at certain points. Obvious punches, but sped it up there and there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, funny. But then in the last verse, because Tech hits the last verse too, he even says in that verse, he was like, real choppers, it's me and Twisted, and that's it. And I'm like, oh, you know, like I wonder if he was pointing out, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But stuff like that, you know. But I see it, and I'm like, man, like if you're gonna do it, like you're a good fast rapper. Why do you have to do that shit? I don't know.
I mean, he's just I like his old stuff. I appreciate what he does now, but he's so in love with the technique he forgot to say anything.
Which one is this?
M?
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
I get so tired of him.
Like, Rap God was fun, but then the rest of the album is just like, we've heard it, or...
Well, his stuff...
But the technique is fucking flawless.
It is.
I appreciate it for what it is. Like, the Music to Be Murdered By was fun, because he did take it as serious on some of it.
Right.
Like, where the Alfred's theme, where it was clearly just fucking around.
Right.
And I wish he'd do that, and not feel like, hey, I'm doing a feature, but... You do your 16s and then give me 84,000 bars for no fucking reason.
For no reason, right.
And it's half filler, like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of
what was the one he did with like EPMD or whatever, or one of them, and half of it was like punchlines about reindeer and Santa Claus and shit.
It's on the Nas record.
Was it the Nas EPMD?
Yeah,
like,
it was
and
so
the lines
terrible.
Were fine for dad jokes, but like make it rain, keep it a buck.
It's the difference
when I make
between,
it reindeer or something, but
it's the difference between being good and being talented, right? So I used to have a discussion with my brother about driving because he drove like a maniac, and he would always say, "Well, I'm not a good driver if I can't hit this turn at double the speed limit." I'm like, that makes you talented. It doesn't make you good.
Right.
It's like, who's the more talented singer, Mariah Carey or Adele? Who's the more talented singer? Who can do more with their voice? Mariah Carey. Are you telling me Mariah Carey is a better singer than Adele is? I don't think so. You know, Adele can only hit so much stuff, but the shit she hits is like really good.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey.
And knowing how to present it, what beats to pick,
right?
what
Exactly.
tones.
Yep. J. Cole versus, I don't even know who to say. J. Cole versus Twista. Okay, Twista's more talented, but J. Cole is a better rapper. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. Good versus talent, I think, is two different things.
Yeah, you can have all the talent and not have anything to say at that moment, or not the right beat.
I was about to say, like not the right beat, not the right concept, not the right collaborators, like that.
Or just
I was so upset.
I
was so upset with that APMD. Like you can see, you can hear, like what I can hear is different than what you're talking about. I can hear like what this song was supposed to be like.
I can do it, yeah.
And this song was, I can guarantee it, because I used to hang with Perry Smith a lot. Remember?
I remember. Yeah.
I could call him up, talk to him. You know, I can guarantee that he probably had no idea Eminem was going to get on that song. And I know Eric Sermon would probably be really pissed off. So, just to hear their flow on it, and then all of a sudden you got Eminem on it, and I'm like, that really pissed that community off, that part of the culture off. Like, I don't even want to say that Nas had anything to do with it. You know, I don't know. I have no idea. But it just didn't fit.
Gotcha. Well, like Eminem now is more talented than Eminem has ever been. I think that's clear to say. Talented. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Talented. But his old records are better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Good versus
Talent's
talented.
only as good as what you do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, he's. I don't even know if he's talented anymore. Honestly, that's me being maybe too harsh.
Yeah.
I just think he's always in demand. He's always.
He's pretty talented, man. I feel like
comic comparison. I think of him and Jim Lee in the same boat.
Okay.
They both did great work back in the day. Their work is technically detailed beyond comprehension with the hatching and stuff. But when you look at Jim Lee's actual books and stuff, like when he did Hush, which was some of his top art, but when you put Bruce and Clark in the same scene, they're the same guy except for glasses, same build, same face,
Right.
and he struggles with anything. Like, I wish he'd do a book like X-Men again, where everybody's so varied, but there's no difference. And it's one of those guys, like they say in comics, some artists only have 3 expressions, like straight, like the half grin, or the gritted teeth.
Right. Good conversations.
You know, so I think of him the same. Like, he's got the couple of moves, he does them particularly well, but he doesn't know what to do with them anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's run out of stuff to say, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's I don't know if he's picking the right beats, or he's just like, I do sometimes where I'm like, oh, if this dude's gonna pay me to be on this, I don't give a fuck what the beat sounds like. I'll find, or if he's asking me to be on it, I'll find a way to get on this beat. And I won't do that anymore, but I did that for a long time, and I can go back and I can listen to it like, I really wanted to do that Put You to Sleep song, like, and I just don't feel like I would have picked that beat, and I didn't write it like the beat was supposed to be written.
The verse on it.
I like the verse. I just don't think that it was,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked that beat. I'm not saying it's a shitty beat. I wouldn't have picked it, but I knew that's how I was gonna ride on, and that's what I did. And then I didn't bring the Ty Brew funk is what I didn't do. You know, sometimes I get on the beat and I'm already challenging it with maybe a higher pitched voice, and because I'm trying to match the beat. There's a couple other songs like that, but I get on like like, why was he on the Elvis record? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was on the Elvis record. We got the next guest coming in. Come on in, my friend.
What's up, guys?
Slide through.
Marshall.
Blaze.
Meet you, man.
Good to see you, my friend. Yes, sir. Yeah, come on. You can sit there. We're about to finish this. Blaze is our guest up right now.
I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. We kind of started a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good conversation with you. But yeah, I was wanting to know why he was on that record. But it's for obvious reasons. But you sit there and you think about it, and it's got explicit lyrics written on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, the Elvis soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And you've got, I can't remember her name, Doja Cat.
Yeah.
She toned it down for the record, but of course, Eminem's the only one that says some bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So because he had to say something, they had to put that on there.
Mm.
Which, of course, your mom and pops that want to buy the Elvis record ain't going to buy that.
Right.
So for one verse on one record, you're eliminating so much of your
I
population.
think it was forced almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a good analogy with Jim Lee, though.
Yeah, the Doja Cat reminds me, though. What do you guys think of some of these newer artists? Like, I know it made waves when Saweetie released her new album or whatever and did like less than 2K, but everybody was jumping in saying, everyone had their thoughts like, well, if you'd done my radio show, you would have beat that. Like, Blood or Academics or somebody said that and was even roasting like 1.8 million likes every time you post a pic, but less than 2,000.
What's the difference between clout and fans?
Yeah. Right. Like, I think it's interesting to see how few people realize how likes and things don't translate to anything at all.
Yep. The biggest blur right now, I think, is TikTok, because TikTok views is just reach. Like, you can't get reach without getting a view on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're used to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you'll have a reach and then you'll have views, right? Your reach will be higher because maybe this reached 1 million people, but only 1,000 people watched it.
And even then, how many stayed? They even based off duration.
Instagram and everything because you're exactly, and like each social media counts a certain amount of time as a view.
Yeah.
TikTok, your reach is your views, because if it shows up and someone immediately swipes it, that's a view. So that way skews the data. You're like, damn, like I got all these millions of views on this, but like, how many of them lasted more than half a millisecond? You know what I'm saying?
So if you just scroll through it and you see it, that counts as a view at that point?
Yeah. So if you're scrolling Facebook and you see a post, that's reach.
Yeah.
It reached you. You might not have interacted with it or nothing, but TikTok's nothing but videos. So they don't have something called reach. They have views. And so, but the terminology will trip you up because if you got 1 million views on YouTube, you know, you're doing great.
Right.
1 million views on TikTok ain't shit.
I see.
And so, but that, like you said, your likes will get all this, and then, you know, your project might not do well at all.
Exactly.
I think that's
weird
a big
to
part
see
of
that,
Yeah.
like how people are adapting to some of that,
Yeah.
where the buzz names don't
Mhm.
carry,
Yeah.
but then other things can go viral like that. Or like J. Cole, on the other hand, doesn't do jack for the viral side,
Mhm.
but sells remarkably well without
I'd
or
rather
with
be on
minimal.
that side.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
I'm in favor of stuff like,
Yeah.
or I would be,
Right.
you know.
Well, when I was kind of, you know, at my height, you know, I might not get a lot of viral traction or whatever. My songs on the, you know, on the streaming services may not play as much as a lot of people, but
Yeah.
man, if I put a show on, there was, you know, a ton of hits.
Right.
And to me, I was always like, that's more important to me.
Yeah, and I mean, hell, just finding the right crowd can make a world of difference.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, look at how niche everything is now, where
Yeah.
it's,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can go direct to the supporters, like Kevin Smith taking his show on the road instead of
Right.
releasing through a movie studio, and
Yeah.
he gets that engagement,
Mhm.
that couple extra bucks for the Q&A.
Yep.
You
And a
got
bigger
you had a loyal fan base. You do
Yeah.
too. I mean, you know how to market that in
Yeah.
and hone it in, and hold on to them and talk to them.
Mhm.
I've never been the best of, you know, servicing relationships of, you know, people.
I'm getting worse at it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's. You know, everybody. I appreciate everybody. It's just hard to,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
so-
hard to keep in touch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard to show that.
And especially when you travel around and do all these different things, and you know
Yeah.
so many people from so many different places, and
Right. See, like,
dear God,
even-
like how hard is it just to organize a few people that you know? And usually it's like, hey, we saw each other. It was probably at a show in Charlotte, or
Right. That's what I'm
Roanoke.
saying. Like in Milestone, I felt so bad because I talked to as many people as I can. And then here's Chelsea. I didn't even talk to her much at all.
Right.
You know, I'm sitting there at
It's
the end
tough.
of the night. I'm like, damn, I didn't even get to talk to you much. I'm sorry. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you know, next time we can talk some more. But like, you get around,
Yeah,
and then
you do.
hopefully, you know, somebody like that doesn't take it personal, and
Right.
you know, you can explain yourself a little
Yeah.
bit.
And
Yeah.
it's tough too because if your intent is still growth as an artist, you go to a show, you want to go speak to people you don't know yet,
Right.
and that can really, I struggle like that sometimes with shows because I want to go like, damn, this person came to see me, like
Yeah.
I want to go and
Yeah.
talk to them, whatever, you know,
Right.
spend time with them. But you need to, like again, if your intent is growth, you need not spend all your time talking to people. Who
Yeah,
already
because
know you.
otherwise you end up in the same circle jerk of just hanging out in the corner with the artist, which is great for what
Yeah.
it is. Like,
Yeah.
it's great to have that bond, and that'll get you more shows
Yeah.
and this and that, and it's important in and of itself. But
Shit,
you know,
I'm-
that
I'm-
crowd work is
Yeah.
tricky.
I'm
and
talking about
how many
fans
people.
even.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even with the fans, like how hard is it when you know your friends come out or whatever,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Well, I came out to see you." And
Yep.
did you guys ever get that pushback from friends like? You know, if I ever want to see you, I gotta buy a damn concert ticket or
Mhm.
whatever.
No.
Like when we got
Yeah, that-
like hit the runs where it was like
Yeah.
busy, because I know
Yeah.
there for a while we were doing multiple shows a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
That's
And
how it
overlapping.
was for a long time. It was like, look, you know, I want to go to the door and just go in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to be
I
on
don't,
the list.
I don't, you know, I want to be on the list, or I don't want to get. When the ticket sales started coming, like that really started fucking shit up for a lot of people. It works for some people, but it doesn't for others. And like that was like, for my fan base up until that point was like they were still cool with coming to get the ticket to get in,
Mhm.
but once they started having to buy tickets beforehand,
Oh,
it was like
not
fuck
for me
that.
either.
You know, it was
Yeah.
fuck that. And you know, some people can do it. I'm not chasing somebody down to give them a ticket
Yeah.
when that ticket's gonna cost me more money than it's worth.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, I'm chasing somebody down or sitting here waiting for somebody to give them that ticket.
Mhm.
Then of course, you know, that fan base starts dwindling. You got to start fucking talking people into it then.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, once a certain
Be a
point, like, man,
salesman.
I done seen you 100 times. I don't, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I'll listen to your CD. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't need that. I don't need. You're not doing any new
Yeah.
songs, are you?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
It's-
I'll do a new
yeah,
song.
yeah.
And then
It's almost like you got to pitch it more as support than
Yeah.
come see
Yeah.
a good show, which is unfortunate. You no one really ever want to do that.
right.
Where's all your plugs? Plug all
Plugs,
your
yeah.
information for
I
everybody.
kept it nice and easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can catch me on Instagram. Is usually the best place to catch me. I'm
That's
at the
right.
Comic Cons. I pop up, hopefully more at shows coming up on the music side, but late nights and early mornings don't mix that well anymore on weekends.
Word.
All right. So it's at Blaze Belushi?
Yes, sir.
Word.
Nice
Good
and
enough.
easy.
Well, that's what's up. Thanks for coming through, my man.
Absolutely. Great seeing you guys.
Always a pleasure.
We ran through the cameras for sure.